Hi, my name's Cordy, and if you see a guy with a neck which is substantial for a human, chances are it could be deep impact. He might be commenting below, and he might also have just recently had a strawberry frostino from Costa. Those are sort of my predictions for what might have recently happened. I'm quite tired today. However, this video is going to be about chords. So Jake asked me to check out this tune by Blake Mills called Just Wrong, and the changes go something like this. So it's an E flat minor to an A flat sus kind of thing. So I'm thinking of that as a 2-5 in D flat major, and then the next chord is like an A, and then the next chord is like a D major. So here's the thing about this stuff, these chords aren't particularly related. Two of them are, and then two of the others are. So we've got an E flat minor to an A flat sus. So to me, I would think of that as chord 2 and 5 in D flat major. So that's that section of the tune. I would be playing very much in D flat major for that. And then the next part of the tune has this kind of thing going on. So I would think of that as A major and then D major. And I would treat that section as being in A major. So you're going from chord 1 to chord 4. Now, so that's a bit of identifying to my ear what's going on, that I can't really explain too well how I go about doing it. It's just something that I've done for many years. And so the thing that I would do first of all be find the bass notes, and then I guess it's sort of about experience and knowing that oftentimes a 2 and a 5 follow one another. Identifying, I guess, the sound of the movement from chord 1 to chord 4. So I can't really tell you how to do that part of it, but once someone has told you that, or you've worked out those kind of keys, what can you do from there? So what I would suggest first of all would be to sort of break it down to something simpler. So something maybe like this, where you go from E flat minor to D major 7, or whatever I was actually playing there. I think it's some sort of 9. So and try and identify kind of similar notes, so notes that are shared between scales. So the scales that I'm using might be B flat pentatonic, and then A major pentatonic. And practice switching between those in the same kind of area on the fretboard. I found that those two notes work in both keys. So that could maybe be the bedrock of what you play. So maybe you spend time finding those shared notes all over the fretboard chord and identify what they are. So G sharp and C sharp, or A flat and D flat, however you want to think about them. Then the other thing you might want to do is kind of find arpeggios for each one, so E flat minor, and plot them next to each other. That didn't really work because I anticipated it too much. I find it's not really that easy to just feel your way through this stuff. I think you need to kind of have a good firm grasp of where is home for each bit. So that's how I would start off when you're playing this kind of stuff where the chords aren't necessarily related to each other in an obvious way. And this, I guess you could think of as kind of modal music. And so it's the sort of thing that Alan Holdsworth did quite a bit of. Robin Ford, you can kind of hear doing this kind of stuff. But if you've got a looper, you can experiment this sort of thing. So try mixing up like a minor chord and a major chord that's just a semitone away. Sound, but that would be how I would get into being able to play over that sort of thing. Identify kind of where is home for each bit. So then once you've found like your pentatonic scale that works for both, and then so in this case it was a B flat minor and a major pentatonic. Then find your common notes in there which work well. And kind of make your phrases, build them around those notes to start with until you start to feel your ear kind of getting more into whatever the actual groove is. Good. Well, that's not there anymore, is it? But that's what I'd suggest. Anyway, the backing track from the intro I'll put up on my Patreon if you want to check it out, and I'll put up a little sheet for it and maybe a scale suggestion for each chord. But that's kind of my sort of thoughts on how you could start to get comfortable playing over these weirder kind of chord progressions. You see this sort of thing happening quite a lot in like the neo-soul genre and stuff. But I think it's important to sort of think about where is home for each chord and identify what sounds good over it, even if it's just pentatonic stuff which works over it well. And try and do it with just two of the chords to start with, and then gradually build up the competency in that way and find those common tones, find the arpeggios that work, and work within the same area of the fretboard with each kind of the two keys rather than just jumping around, and hopefully that helps that stuff to sort of feel a little bit less unnatural, because for sure to start with it's definitely something that needs work, as it's not something we're necessarily used to doing, which is changing key kind of semi-regularly, going between two kind of key centres. Or kind of going between two key centres and trying to make it sound like you're phrasing sensibly. Anyway, hopefully that was vaguely useful, Jake. Sorry it didn't make much more sense. But yeah, those are the two keys that I would use for it, or two pentatonic scales. I'd try checking out the D flat major scale, pentatonic, or B flat minor pentatonic, and then A major for the other section, probably. And then if you want the full scale, I would use D flat major for the first section, and then A major for the second section, for the full, all of the notes stuff. Hopefully that's vaguely interesting, vaguely useful. Sorry it's not a bit more clear. I just thought it's like a bit of a vague topic to talk about. But that's how I would start practicing this kind of thing. Start building up small loops of two chords close to each other. So maybe a minor into a major 7 beneath. And figure out where is home for each chord. And spend some time doing this sort of thing, I think. Cheers. If this was at all useful, you could consider subscribing. Maybe. Cheers.